Hey everybody, welcome back to Peachy Disc Golf. Today, Farah, our cute little beagle, is joining us as we talk about what has been in my disc golf bag for the end of this 2023 season. So let's see what's in the bag. All right, Farah, you don't want to stay up here, do you? You want to go snuffle around. Ugh. Go on, Farah. So, in our last video, I sort of talked about how I switched from the Squatch Legend 2.0 huge disc golf bag to a smaller bag with the Squatch Lore here. So I thought I'd make a second video showing you a little quick tour of what I've had in the bag. We actually did a video pretty recently with Kang. He did it in the bag. He has also downsized. He's using the Prodigy Apex bag, which was another small bag I was considering, especially for travel. I thought it'd be a really nice travel bag because it is even smaller than this bag, but I've really been liking the Lore bag. Definitely check out that little review style comparison video between the Lore and the Legend bag that I did with my thoughts on both of those bags. I really do like the Legend bag. These are sort of the main discs that I've been using lately. Real quick, we'll sort of give you a tour of the bag. Let's jump into it here. So let's talk about exteriors first. I have my water bottle, obviously, in this side pocket here, this little convertible side pocket. I mentioned this in the last video I did. I do like these convertible side pockets, but they do make it a bit difficult with these other side pockets here because like this water bottle is digging into the side pocket here, so restricts a bit on what you can sort of store in these side pockets if you do have stuff stored in them. So I can't really put like a jacket or anything in here, but what I'll typically do is I'll have my water bottle here, and because this bag doesn't have like an external pocket for it, I'll take my phone and my wallet and my keys. They'll go in here. The keys, the bag does have a nice little key ring here. I do keep my keys there, which is handy, but I'll put my wallet and my phone in this little like elastic strap here. And then that's pretty much it. I'll put, if we get like minis or whatever's in the players pack, if I can't make it back to the car, I'll put them in this pocket as well. But I don't really keep too much in there. I have a towel and my little cute boba, Taro T boba keychain on this D-ring out here. On the other side of the bag, on this other D-ring, I do have my dry sack here. I used to have like a whale sack, and the problem that I would find is I would always throw it like in my putter pocket or something, but then when I would pull discs in and out, it would fall out of the bag, and I'd get to like hole 11 or something, and I'd be like, where's my whale sack? I left it like 2 holes ago. So I have this clipped on so I don't ever have to worry about it. I do have some discs in this side pocket where you could keep like the built-in cooler, or if I took these out, then I could actually use this side pocket to its fullest extent, but I don't. I do keep a couple of utility discs in this side pocket here. And in here, I just have not too much. I have some stickers that I like to pass around. If anyone asks what Peachy Disc Golf is, I have an EpiPen, just in case, a little emergency. And then I keep a little Sharpie in here as well, just to write my name on discs if I buy any. Not too much extra stuff really. I don't have like a rangefinder or anything right now. So last thing I have on the outside of the bag here before diving in, this little slot can't fit a disc, but it can't fit a mini. So put my little mini marker right there, nice and easy to access. Let's see what discs I have. Starting off with our putters up here. I've been putting with PA3s for the past 6 months or so, pretty much right after I did a video testing out Prodigy discs for the first time where I got a PA3 to putt with. I fell in love with them instantly. So I've been putting with PA3s. These are 300 plastic Alden Harris PA3s. So this has been the pair that I've been using. In the past, I always had like 2 different color putters, and I find that I sort of gravitate to one of them. So I decided every time I get putter pairs to try to get them in the same color with the same stamp so they bead in evenly. So both of these have similar amounts of wear and tear. For throwing putters, I have a PA3 in 400 plastic as well. This disc is nice and straight, but it does have a good amount of fade for me, for my arm speed. I'm sure if you have a higher arm speed, you find that this just goes nice and straight. But for me, this actually has a decent amount of fade. I do like having a throwing putter that's the same as my putting putter as well. So I have this nice 400 plastic. This actually was in that original video where I was testing out Prodigy discs for the first time. So this was one of the discs that stayed in the bag pretty much right after I did that video as well. Then I have a Mint Discs Bullet here. So this disc is a really nice straight disc. I mentioned with the PA3 that it does have a good bit of fade, so if I need something to go laser straight, I don't ever really throw the PA3 because it does have a bit of fade. So if I need something to go laser straight, I go with this Mint Discs Bullet. This sort of slot has changed for me a couple of times. For a while I had the Watt in the bag because I aced with it, couldn't not put it in the bag. But I do think the hand feel of the Bullet is a little bit nicer. I used to not even carry either. I had the PX3 in the bag, but I found that it was too similar to the PA3 or to my A5, which we'll get into next. I wanted something nice and straight, so I ended up going with the Bullet. I've really been enjoying having this in the bag. One more putter here. I have the PA5. This is in 300 plastic as a nice understable throwing putter. For a while I was using the Mirage. Right out of the box, it's nice and flippy. I found the PA5 had a sneaky bit of stability for me when I first got it. I actually had one in 400 plastic initially. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a 300 one and just throw it a bunch and it'll beat in pretty quickly to a nice flippy putter. And that's exactly what's happened here. Obviously I had to buy this one because it's peach colored. So I've really been enjoying this. This is a really nice understable putter. I could put it on hyzer, it's gonna flip up and even ride to the right, but it's not something that is completely burned over on me, at least not yet. I imagine it will because it is in 300 plastic, but I've really been enjoying this. All right, so then we got two overstable approach discs. I have the A5 and the A3 here. Both of these discs complement each other very well. The A5 I have in 300 Spectrum plastic and the A5 I have in 500 Spectrum plastic. The A5 is significantly straighter than the A3. The A3, the minute that I throw it, it almost wants to start going left. It is very overstable. For a while I was using the A2. I find the A2 and the A3 for my arm speed fly very similarly. They're both incredibly overstable, more overstable than say like a Zone would be. But I just find the hand feel with the A3 just to be a little bit more comfortable. And then the A5 I fell in love with right away. It feels very similar to a Zone. It's nice and flat with a little bit of puddle top even, but it has just been amazing. This one is actually brand new to my bag because I did a round in Texas where I had thrown it on hole 18, the last hole of the course, and I left it behind. It was my second shot and I forgot to pick it back up. But I have a couple of backups here. I do like it in 300 plastic. I do like having two approach discs in different plastics. This one I'll be able to get a little bit more of a skip shot with if needed, whereas the A5 will settle a little bit more because of that grippier plastic. But I love the A5 all around. Probably my favorite approach disc that I've used lately. All right, so let's get into the main pocket here. We'll start with mid-ranges. First mid-range that we're gonna talk about is the Matrix in Cosmic Neutron. This is an OTB open disc. The Matrix is my nice, dependable, overstable mid-range. I can trust this in the wind, throw it nice and flat, and it's gonna go straight, and then have a really nice, strong, overstable finish at the end. So I really liked the Matrix. I used to have an Archive in the bag, and I found that it flies very similar to a Rock 3, which is just not quite as overstable as this Matrix is, at least in this Cosmic Neutron plastic, but I really enjoyed the Matrix in the bag. Then we have what is probably my favorite mid-range, which is the Hex. So I have it in glow plastic here. This is a Throwjoe's die, and the Hex is just a really nice disc in any plastic really. It goes nice and straight for pretty much its entire flight, but it does have a gentle little fade at the end, and it's listed as a 5.5 -1.1. For my arm speed, I don't notice the turn too much unless I'm throwing into like a headwind, but I find that this disc just goes nice and straight, but it does always end off to the left. But I do really like the Hex a lot. It is such a good mid-range. This is definitely one of the discs that's been in my bag the longest. Ever since I first got a Hex, I've always had some sort of Hex in my bag. Next up, very similar, we have the M4 here from Prodigy in 400 plastic. The M4 and the Hex have the exact same numbers, but I find that the M4 is just a little bit more understable. If I throw this with power on hyzer, it'll flip up, whereas the Hex just will sort of hold true to whatever angle I throw it on. And because of that, I'll actually use like the M4 on shots where I need to have it go with a little bit of flip, or I could throw on a little bit lower power and get a very similar shot shape to the Hex. I had found that they were decent complements to each other. There is probably a good bit of overlap between the two, so I probably could find a better disc for this slot, maybe the new MVP Detour that just came out. I don't know, we'll see. But I've enjoyed using the M4. I do find though, for the most part, I gravitate to throwing the Hex because I do trust it a little bit more, but this does fly different. All right, the last true mid-range I have in my bag is the Clash Discs Peach. Understable mid-range 4.5 -2.1. All of Clash Discs feel amazing. For one thing, the plastic is great, and the Peach is a nice, understable mid-range to where I can put it on hyzer, it's gonna flip up and turn over to the right, or if I put it on just a little bit of anhyzer, it's gonna hold that turn the entire way. Really good for sweeping turnover shots. I really have been loving the Peach. One thing though, the Peach here and the PA5, they are very similar in shot shape and in distance for me now. So if I do change up the bag, there's a good chance that one of these discs is gonna get kicked out. So it's hard to get rid of the Peach though, because Peachy disc golf, Peach, you know, it's so on brand. All right, then the next two discs in here are from Castaplatz. They are listed as mid-ranges, but they are 6 speeds, and that is the Cax and the Stig. I did a video of both of these very recently. Definitely check that out to see my thoughts on both of these discs, so I won't get too much into detail. The Cax Z, I also tested out in the video, and I just found it had a little bit too much overlap with some of my other discs. But the Cax, I've really been enjoying. It goes a little bit further than my normal mid-ranges like my Hex, but not quite as far as the next step up with my fairway drivers like the Crave or the Servo. Even in a headwind, I can trust this disc. It will flip up a bit, but it's not gonna become understable and turn over. It will finish to the left. And then the Stig, same thing, still a 6-speed, but it is more on the understable side. So I will be able to get a nice sweeping turnover shot using the Stig. So I've really been enjoying both of these. All right, so now let's move into the fairway drivers real quick. I do have quite a few of them, so I'll try to go through pretty quickly here. First off, we have what I call the MVP trilogy. Fairway drivers, all at 6.5 speed, and I bag all 3 of them because I love them. In order of stability, we have the Resistor, then we have the Servo, and then last up, we have the Crave. The Resistor, I've really been enjoying. This is sort of that little mini Firebird, where I could throw it straight, but it definitely is going to fade left. Now mine has become a bit beat in. I actually have a glow resistor as well that I've used, and that is way more overstable, but the resistor is very dependable. I could throw it into a headwind, no problem. This will carry nice and straight with a nice dependable fade at the end. So I really have been loving the resistors. Then we have the Servo here, which is 6.55 -1.2. It's very similar to the Crave, which is 6.55 -1.1. The Crave for me is laser straight. I could throw this on a little bit of hyzer, it'll flip up, carry straight with just a baby fade at the end, nice and straight. Whereas the Servo, if there's a little bit more wind, I might pull out the Servo, or if I just need to go a little bit further to the left. They have very similar flights at the beginning where I'll put it on a little bit of hyzer, it'll flip up and carry straight, and then it will just have a little bit of a stronger fade. For me, all 3 of these complement each other very well, and I love having all 3 of them in the bag. Next up, we have another fairway that I've really loved since I reviewed it, and that is the Millennium Discs Vela. This is 7.4 -1.52. This just sort of fills that T-bird slot for me. It does have -1.5 turn, which I can see if I get it on a really good rip, but it's not gonna just completely turn over way to the right. This one I can just put on just a little bit of hyzer and it'll flip up to flat and then carry straight with a very strong fade, similar to my resistor. Actually, it's sort of in between my Servo and my resistor stability-wise. Hand feel-wise, I love the Vela. It's nice and flat, feels great in the hand, does have a nice flight. I can trust it in the wind even with that -1.5 turn. I find that it is still very dependable. Just put it on a little bit more hyzer. I've really been loving the Vela. Next up, now we're into 8 speeds here. I have the Westside Discs Bear. I did a video for this disc a little while ago where I tested out this new Tournament Orbit plastic. I love the Bear. It is very overstable for my arm speed. It does have a listing of -0.5 turn, which I don't really see at my arm speed, but I imagine it's actually allowing it to carry a little bit straighter and further for me. I can really put my full power into this disc and trust that it's going to just go straight with a very strong fade at the end. This disc has been so good, so dependable. Throw it in a headwind, no problem. Need the disc to go left, no problem. A really great disc to have in the bag. Then we go on to something a little bit more understable. I have this 10-year anniversary special blend F7. This disc is a very understable fairway driver, one of the most understable discs I have in the bag. I can put this on a little bit of hyzer and it's going to have a sweeping turnover still to the right. So this is, if I need a long turnover shot, this is usually the disc that I'm going to be going to. But at the same time, it's also not like, for my arm speed, it's not like an easy roller disc where if I just throw it flat, it becomes a roller. This disc is very controllable for my lower arm speed. So if you have a lower arm speed and you're looking for something understable, definitely consider the F7. All right, now we go into 9 speeds here. So first up, we have the FX4. So I did a video a little while ago where I was comparing the Vanguard, the Thunderbird, the FX4, and was looking for a disc that's a little bit more overstable than, say, my Undertaker, which I also do have in the bag. We'll get to that in just a second. My Undertaker is very straight because it's so beat in, and I wanted something a little bit more overstable, but not quite as overstable as, say, like an FX2 or a Firebird. So I ended up choosing the FX4. It's listed as like a 9.5, -2 or something. I do not see that -2 turn at my arm speed. This disc is very overstable. It does fly very similar to those other ones, but I was able to get a little bit more distance, maybe because of that -2. For me, I've really been enjoying the FX4. Now, one thing I have noticed though is the FX4 and the Bear are very similar. And I know for a fact that this FX4 is probably going to be coming out of the bag as I do change my bag up, because I do enjoy throwing the Bear more, and they do have very similar shot shapes. So we mentioned the Undertaker. This is another beautiful Throw Joe's die. Love this disc. The Undertaker is one of my most used drivers, and that's just because it goes so straight for me. It does still have a nice dependable fade. The numbers are 9.5, -1.2, so it is still a little bit more on the overstable side, but this disc has seen so much use, has hit so many trees. It just goes nice and straight. This is probably very close to one of my furthest flying discs. I do have a couple of distance drivers in the bag, but honestly, I am able to get the Undertaker about the same distance most of the time. So that's because of that, I do tend to choose the Undertaker, because the smaller rim just feels a little bit more comfortable in the hand, and can't go wrong with such a beautiful looking disc as well. All right, last fairway driver, a newer addition to the bag. This is the Zeta's Moon. It is a special blend S-Line CD1 from Colton Montgomery. I really liked this disc. It has the exact same numbers as the Undertaker, but this is significantly more understable. Now, it's not as understable as, say, like my F7. So this one I will still get a good bit of fade out of at the end, but I will take this disc if I need to go with something understable, but I need to go a lot of distance as well. Because I find with the F7, if I do throw it full speed, it will get close to that roller angle. It won't really get onto a roller angle, but it will get onto like a cut roller angle basically. So a little bit more squirrely, where this disc I know will stay panned over, and it will even flatten out and come back more towards a little hyzer finish. So if I want something to carry long and understable, I'll go with the Zeta's Moon. I can throw it full power, even on anhyzer. It's gonna hold the line for most of the flight. It might have a little bit of pan back to flat. I've really been enjoying this disc a lot. This one I don't see coming out of the bag very easily, because it does sort of fit a unique slot for me. Last couple discs here in the main slot, we got two distance drivers, another MVP pair here. We have the MVP Wave in Fission Plastic and the MVP Vision Photon. Both of these discs are 11 speeds. The Wave is 11.5, -2.52, and the Photon is 11.5, -1.5, 2.5. So these are very good complements for each other. The Wave is capable of being my furthest flying disc. If I get a really, really good release with the Wave, and I keep the nose down, I'm able to get a really nice sweeping S shot out of this disc. If I throw it flat, it's going to turn over, pan over to the right for a good distance before flattening back out, and then still having a nice little hyzer finish at the end. I could get some really good distance out of the Wave. And I'm actually able to get a very similar release with the Photon, but the Photon with that 2.5 fade is definitely a little bit more dependable. So if there's a little bit more wind, or if there's danger on the right and I don't want the Wave to turn over at all, I'll take the Photon out of the bag instead. It feels very similar in the hand to the Wave, which is why I've been bagging both. And I find that they're good complements for each other. And the Wave, obviously, you know, we have a nice fluoridized disc die job here, so this Wave looks sick. So along with these discs, I do have 3 other discs that I keep in this side pocket here. These are sort of utility discs. I don't use them every round even, just more here and there if I need them. So first up, I have one putter, which is the Glitch. I do not have the finesse to throw a Glitch as just like use it instead of the bullet or something, because if I throw this improperly, it just completely turns over, because it holds whatever angle you put it on, and I do not have enough angle control for that. But I do love pulling out the Glitch for short approach shots, or if I just need something nice and floaty, nice little straight chip shots where I don't want the disc to like skip forward too far or anything, just sort of land gently near the basket. I'll pull out the Glitch. And then I have 2 utility fairway discs. So I have the FX2 in that little Firebird super overstable fairway slot, and I have the F9, which is a super, super understable disc, more understable even than the F7, which we talked about. The F9 is a 8.6, -4, 0.5. This is a roller disc for me. Or what I typically use the F9 for is if I have like a patent pending stance or something and I still want to get a good bit of distance, I could throw this on low power, put it on hyzer, it'll still have a nice sort of hyzer flip to flat, carry straight, and then still have just a gentle little baby fade at the end. Just something I cannot throw full power without becoming a roller. And then the FX2, obviously, just if I need something to go left. I'm pulling out the FX2. I'm not gonna get much distance out of this, maybe 250 feet or so, but it will go left. So yeah, that's it for my what's been in the bag. I've mentioned this in several recent videos where I'm going through like a mid-bag crisis is what I'm calling it, where I want to like change up my discs a bit. I've been fortunate enough to try a lot of really great discs. I've enjoyed a lot of them, and I just wanted to change up my bag a little bit here and there. So I am probably going to be changing a good portion of these discs. I've really been enjoying this bag so far. I do know though that I still have some overlap that I want to iron out, and I've done some videos recently where I'm like, man, these discs are really good. Why am I not bagging these? So probably going to be making some changes in this off season, testing out some new discs. I'm actually about to go on a camping trip where I'm actually going to be changing up a significant portion of my bag. I'll talk about that in that video. Definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss out on those. And probably come the spring before next season starts, we'll have another in the bag where I'll talk about sort of which discs I've changed out, which discs have stayed. Should be interesting. That's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed watching this little in the bag video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a note down in the comment, which discs do you think I have overlap in where you would maybe throw something else in? Because I'd love to hear your comments. Which discs should I consider bagging, trying out, things like that? Let me know down below. And also be sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode. Until next time, guys, cheers.